What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Panthers Advice. As you can see, man, I'm still watching the draft in the back. Shedeur Sanders still not drafted. Even the Steelers didn't grab him. But obviously today, that's not what we're talking about. I said today, it's tonight. Tonight, we're talking about Tet Mcmillain coming to the Panthers. Now, before we get into Tet Mcmillain, we have to understand why some people weren't thrilled with the pick. All right, we're going to get to Tet in a little bit. All right, just stay with me real quick because we have to look at the Panthers' past. And you really don't even have to go back that far. You want to go back 2 years ago and look at Mingo? You want to go back to last year and look at Leggett? So when some people, myself semi-included in this, aren't thrilled with the pick with Tet Mcmillain, all right, with the 8th overall pick, it's because you've seen the past, right? You've seen Mingo, you've seen Leggett, and you didn't really get much out of them, to be honest with you. Now, Mingo, obviously, it wasn't done by this front office. Leggett was. They traded up to get Leggett. Now, are they giving up on Leggett after year one? I don't know that they're giving up on him, and we'll dive more into this, later on in the week. I don't know that they're giving up on him, but it's like he's not the number one receiver we thought he was. And the only thing I kind of question with this is, okay, with Tet, right, they took him with the 8th overall pick. With Leggett, they traded up to get him. Now, it wasn't a lot, all right? It was a few spots, if I remember right. You traded up to get him, so obviously you saw something in him. After 1 year, you're calling it, I'm not going to say calling it quits yet, but it's like after 1 year, you're going to spend your 8th pick next year and draft another receiver kind of similar to Leggett, if we're being honest, right? So that part does throw me off. Now, what does this mean for XL moving forward? I've had a lot of time, I guess not a lot of time, I've kind of sat and took a break after the Panthers drafted McMillan. I've kind of thought about this. So number 2 is obviously Coker, right? Number 3, you got Thielen, you got David Moore, but both of them are up there in age. I think, Moore's, high 20s, if I'm not mistaken, and Thielen's, 33, 34 right now. I think Leggett could actually be a good slot guy, all right? And here's why. Leggett struggles on your hitches, your comebacks, your curls. So when XL is lining up as an X or a Z receiver and he's running an out route, he's running a hitch, right? When he's running a route, that forces him to basically do something at the top of the route and then sit there and wait for the ball. That's when he struggles, all right? And that's, I'm not going to say it's a majority of the time as outside receiver because, you want your slot guy to do that at times. But a lot of the times, you want your slot guy to book it across the middle, right? For a lot of reasons. 1, you want to bring the linebacker up. 2, you're trying to push him back. It depends what route you want him to run. And I think that's where XL will ironically excel at, right? Because he's got speed, right? He's got that straight line speed. So if you have him run a post, right, as a slot, I think we're good, right? A drag route across the middle. He took off every time he caught a pass across the middle, right? Not hitches, right? But I'm talking about drag routes, crosser routes. He was gone. So you add that to the repertoire with XL in the slot. So you got Tet Mcmillain. You got Coker, XL, Sanders right there too. And you got to think we're probably going to draft another receiver, right? A speedster, I hope. All right. That's not a bad offense. Okay. XL obviously has work to do. The reason I'm kind of shocked by this is, again, they traded up to get XL, and then after a year, it's kind of like, all right, almost feels like they're washing their hands clean of him. And, as I start to say this, I start to think like, okay, at least they're doing something about it. If they feel like XL isn't the guy, at least they're not going to keep trying to force it, right? Like we saw with certain tight ends, certain safeties over the past few years. They kept trying to play them and play them and play them. If they don't think XL is a number 1 receiver and they want to move on, you know what? By all means, do it. I like that they're taking charge and they're not trying to make it work, right? Next, let's talk about Tet Mcmillain. Now, when he was drafted on my live stream, I was caught off guard, right? I thought for sure we were going defense. And the reason I say that is we finished the year strong on offense, but defense, I don't think we finished strong at all. Right? Now, they did make some good additions to the defense, right? Whether it's Bobby Brown, Patrick Jones, I like what they did, okay? I'm still not sold on it, all right? I wish they would have got Mike Hill, Williams, or Jalen Walker, but that's water under the bridge. What does Tet bring to the Panthers? What Tet brings is what Excel should have done last year. So those drops, Tet should catch those, right? And Excel had quite a few drops, if we're being honest with you. Now, I'm not saying that would have changed the Panthers' record because, again, the problem wasn't the Panthers' offense latter half of the season. It was the defense. And even when Andy Dalton was in, it was the defense. So Ted's going to bring you somebody who's going to be more reliable for Bryce Young. And the crazy part about that is Adam Thielen could have his best year as a Panther yet. Because if Ted is the guy that Dave and Dan are praising him to be, all right, so Ted's on the outside, Coker's on the outside, you got Thielen in the middle. Man, Thielen could cook up something nice. And then you got Moore to kind of replace him and Excel to kind of replace whoever needs to replace. This offense might not be in a bad place. All right. And then on top of that, Excel in the red zone, he wasn't a threat. And the Panthers need a threat. Yes, you've got Sanders, but Sanders lining up as a tight end. All right. If he's off the line, teams will start to read if it's a pass or run pretty quickly based on the film study, right? And Sanders wasn't a physical guy on the line, right? So Sanders there wasn't really a red zone threat either that much. So what does Tet McMillan bring? He brings you a red zone threat right away. And a threat doesn't mean he's going to get the ball. A threat means DB's going to drop back with him. Safety's going to drop back with him. Bang, right? So a little fade route. They go over there. You run a hitch, right? Bang. Linebacker pulls up, and then bang, you run a cross over the top of that, right? So a lot of things can happen if Tet McMillan is the receiver that Dan and Dave want him to be. So, I was going to talk about the future. That's what the future holds for us. Now, am I excited about the offense? Not yet. There's potential, right? Because you got to realize, as a number one receiver, ideally your job is to basically take away the best DB and shade the safety to your side. So number two has to produce, right? When it's all said and done. Go look at all the number one, number two receivers, right? Except Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, they're kind of outliers. But before then, right, look at Antonio Brown and Juju Smith. Juju Smith went off until Antonio Brown was no longer on the team. Okay, so part of me is excited, but at the same time, Ted's going to be that guy number two has to step up, right? And that's Coker, that's Thielen, that's Moore, that's Leggett. If that's the case, then I will be excited. But again, it all depends on number two. And then the running game, you got Chuba, you got Rico. Do the Panthers go get another running back? Well, we have, 7 to 9 more picks left? If the right guy's there, I definitely think the Panthers will, which leads me to this right here, later draft picks. The segment I'm most excited to talk about, let's talk about why. So let's talk about why this is my favorite segment, later draft picks. Let's go back to last year's draft, okay? It started off rough. One, they traded up for Leggett, and I didn't understand why, to be honest with you, okay? It seemed like a kind of hometown kind of guy, bang, trade up, you get him. Panthers draft in the first round. A good way to kind of start the season off. All right, fine. They didn't trade up that much. It is what it is. Then you reach for Jonathan Brooks. And a lot of the fan base was almost like blind to the fact he was coming off an ACL tear, right? Because their running game was so bad the year before. It was like, okay, we have potential with Brooks. And then what happened with that? But then after that, Trevin Wallace, Jatavion Sanders, Shaw Smith-Way, they traded the linebacker to bring in Mike Jackson as a DB. I thought they did an amazing job after the first and second round, which is why I'm excited tomorrow, because I don't think Dave is going to reach on another player with a torn ACL. So first round, fine. They get the guy they want, right? I don't think we're going to reach anymore because I don't think we need a running back that bad. Okay? So now, this is where I feel like this is Dave and Dan's strong suit, right? Is the actual film study. Because again, I go back to last year, I thought they did an amazing job after the first two picks. All right? Tomorrow, I think, or today, depending on when you're watching this, end of round 2, and then pick 10 for round 3, which I will be live streaming. Stay tuned for that. I'm excited to see what they come up with. Okay? I have faith. The Tet one, it is what it is, right? There's nothing we can do about it now. Just be happy with it. But round 2, end of round 2, round 3. I'm excited to see what they come up with because they're what? I think within 15 picks of each other. And last but not least, Jalen Walker, he falls to the Falcons. Now that's going to be interesting to see. Because I think if you divided the fan base up, some people wanted Mason Graham, Michigan, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, right, and Tet McMillan. Jalen Walker in Atlanta, Tet McMillan here. We're going to see who was the better pick, right? I'm not going to lie, I'm a little scared because I do like Walker a lot, but maybe he fell, to the 14th, 15th pick for a certain reason. So, with that being said, man, we've got some content coming out this week. Stay tuned for that. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Panthers Advice is out. Peace. Live stream tomorrow, 7? I think it starts 7 Eastern. I'll probably be live 8 Eastern because they're picking end of second round. I'll catch you guys then, man. I'm out.